Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode at General Geekery. I think once again we got actually we do have a couple of things planned. We're both going to unbox something, and I've got a bit of an interesting announcement too.
And I'm I was just in the mood to podcast last week, so I sent Brian a message. I'm like, podcast this weekend. He's like working, and I'm like, well, that's dumb. But when I say, well, that's dumb, that's pretty much my standard answer to when anybody tells me they're working. I'm like, well, that's dumb. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I should have
it is
taken.
something we all have to do, but it's dumb when I have to work too.
Yeah,
So,
I should have taken the shift off. I'm sick as a dog. I've gone in for two rotations and I shouldn't have, but
why are you sick and not healing?
I'm stupid.
Well, there you go. you know, Stupidity is caused by many things and cured by very few. So, um,
But yeah, no. So the announcement that I have is as part of Denver Fan Expo, which is the big local um Comic Con, because it used to be Denver Comic Con, and it was at one time second or third largest Comic Con in the country, behind San Diego Comic Con. Um, they have a charity auction for through that's associated with Make a Wish Foundation. And the group that does it is R2KT Auctions, and that's the anybody that's like really into the esoteric Star Wars stuff knows that R2KT is a figure that was made for a little girl that got cancer and died from cancer. Uh,
the founder of the 501st Costume Group, um, it was his daughter that died
gotcha.
of cancer, and he was already. They were already well on the way to him and the other two guys that helped him start it, the costuming group, when she got sick, and so one of the early entrances to the 501st was a they had some one of the R2 some an R2 builder and the R2 builder created a pink and white astromech droid for R2KT, and she and that droid makes a lot of appearances with the 501st. Um,
Yeah, I've seen it once, I think.
yeah, Elvin Johnson has it's a sad story what happened to the girl, but her legacy lives on, and it's pretty cool that you're making an artistic contribution to it.
So yeah, that's my announcement is R2KT auctions is still a thing, even though the ownership of the convention has changed hands. And they do a charity auction every year at the convention. I've gone to it a couple of years and I've bought stuff from the auction, but this year I am donating a custom figure to be auctioned off at
That's
the
awesome.
charity auction. Um, it will be double-sided, it will be carded, double-sided card. When I originally had decided to do this was like number of years ago, just never had the time or was out of the country or whatever. And at the time when I decided to do it, I decided the figure that I would pick was one of the most popular customs, one of my most popular customs at that time, and that was Samurai Boba Fett. I got a lot of requests for commissions for that. I got a lot of people trying to buy that, and I got a lot of people that took that recipe and made a custom for themselves. So at that time, that was my most popular custom. So I decided that would be my first one, and
Oh, cool. So, did you?
have most of the figure built already.
Oh, sweet.
So it'll have a removable helmet. The head is not. I don't have the ball joints. The next thing I need to work on.
Yeah.
The backpack is on with a magnet.
What's the head underneath the helmet going to be like? I mean, I'm guessing you're doing the swappable heads unmasked mask, right?
No, it'll be a removable. It's a helmet,
Okay.
so it'll be a
Um,
removable helmet. It'll be a head on a ball peg, and then the helmet can come off and on.
Oh, the samurai helmet.
Yeah.
Okay, so the Mandalorian helmet will stay, but
No,
the
Mandalorian helmet is part of the helmet.
oh
It's all one piece.
okay, so it's not a swappable head. You just haven't fixed it so it stays on yet.
Yeah.
Ah, okay. Um,
The
so
the neck peg is from the GI Joe figure, which is
ah,
a little
okay.
too big for the Star Wars head. So I'm going to re-engineer the neck joint.
So
Yeah.
that's what? That's Rise of Cobra, their Retaliation Budo and
Oh, yes,
Boba Fett.
Budo. And the deluxe book of Boba Fett, Boba Fett.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because it was
Okay. Oh yeah. Yeah, I
that
can
was
see
the
the
cheapest. Number one, that was the cheapest. Number two was the most articulated. And number three was the most in scale with GI Joe stuff. So it was, eh, it was just kind of just an easy choice to pick it up.
no, it's a good choice because of of the many Boba Fetts they've made, um, that's one of the better ones. They have made some janky ass Boba Fett figures over the years, and that book of Boba Fett one, the deluxe one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that is definitely one of their best.
So, yeah, I might, depending on the equipment that comes with it, which is going to be all of this. Um, the guy that does my blisters, Empire Blisters, sent me a product to try. It's a clamshell that will hold a card and the figure that's so you can open it. So I may be using that instead of like actually carding, putting the figure in a blister and then carding the blister. I may be making this so that you can actually open it and actually play with the figure.
well, that's cool for the person who wins it in the yeah, they might want to take it out and mess with it. That's cool.
Yeah,
So they didn't find you for this. You threw your hat in the ring to contribute.
I did.
What what other kind of stuff gets contributed to this auction?
Boy,
I'm just curious. I don't, you know,
the couple of
context.
things that I've bought from the auctions over the years are autographed carded figures, but it's usually most of the time it's Star Wars geek memorabilia. So I mean, it's like high end stuff. I mean, like autographed helmets, and um, I know they did a Chewbacca bandolier one year, and they did like a coin set one year. I mean, like it's like autographed books and photos, and it's usually like high end collectible stuff.
So it's premium stuff for collectors that want to contribute to the charity. Um,
Yeah,
that's
it's
cool. That's awesome that you're going to be part of it.
yeah, I'm kind of stoked about it actually, and I'm working on the card art. So the card art will have the R2 KT auctions logo on it. It'll have my logo on it, which is kind of an interesting story because that's when I decided to do this, that's how I came up with the logo that I currently use for Go Figure.
Really? Oh, I didn't know. That's cool.
Yeah,
I didn't know what the artistic inspiration for that was.
yeah. So if you look at my logo, it's kind of based off the San Diego Comic-Con logo. And what I
Yeah.
wanted to do was do like a convention exclusive logo for that figure. And that's about the only thing that I got done when I decided to do this the first time was design that logo. And that's what came out of that. Jimbo helped me because I went through about three or four, actually probably about four or five different iterations of that. And Jimbo helped me kind of nail it down.
Um, the the original Samurai Fett is the one that's carded on your wall, right?
Yeah, I have it. It's actually back here on the wall. I'll do
Um,
some pictures, but yeah, I talked to the guys at the auction yesterday and they're like, we need some good pictures of it. And I'm like, not a problem. I can
yeah. Oh, yeah. That won't be that won't be an issue.
no.
So which expo is this? Because I know you're going to two of them, and that's one of them, right?
Yeah, this
This
is the one in
summer.
Denver.
Okay, and this is the one with Bruce Campbell, or the one with the other guy,
This is the one with John
Punisher. Okay, yeah, all
Berenthal
right.
is going to be there. Uh, let's see. Michael Dorn's going to be there, and Gates McFadden's going to be there.
What?
Yeah.
I need a Michael Dorn autograph. Okay, thanks. Bye.
Yeah,
Um,
gonna pay up front for that, dude. Because Emily's already got a figure, and she's doing Gates. She's getting two this year. I mean, that's unheard of for her. And then it looks like John DeLance is going to be here at the Colorado Springs Comic Con. So
didn't he cancel last year?
canceled on Denver's.
Oh, okay. Because I know you were supposed to go meet him and then he pulled out. Did you wait? Emily's getting what? Both Crusher and Worf's autographs.
Those
Is she
are
getting the figures autographed or is she getting something else
yeah.
autographed?
So my wife has a pretty decent collection of autographed old Playmates figures. She has pretty much all of the bridge crew except Picard. She doesn't have Troy's because we didn't go that year that she was in town. My buddy and I did, but we didn't get anything autographed. And she has her favorite's Dwight Schultz. She's a huge Lieutenant Barkley fan. So, but yeah, Worf and
Beverly Crusher.
in my brain's like, woof. Yeah, Worf and Crusher are two that she does not have, but everybody else, we've met Brett Spiner, we've met Jordy, we've met Michael Frakes,
Jonathan Frey.
Jonathan Frakes. Yeah, sorry, I'm just like trying to remember everything here that she has.
Well,
Lance one year, like most everybody, she has most everybody's autograph.
did is it just the TNG crew that she's gotten or has she gotten autographs from other? Because she's got Gowron, Robert O'Reilly, right?
No, you got that. We gave that to you.
Oh, okay. I thought she got one too. So do me a favor, find out how much those autographs are, because I mean, as long as you're waiting in line, anyways, like
I'll look.
I'm
gonna.
just
I'm guessing that they're probably like $80, but
Worf is my favorite Star Trek character, and even though I won't be there to meet him, well, it'd be kind of cool to have his autograph. The
so yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing a custom figure. I've already been asked if there's proxy bidding for this because I just went over 4,000 followers on my Facebook page.
Holy shit, dude! Congratulations.
Yeah, I can't believe it. So yeah, like big thanks to everybody that follows my work. I figured I'd have probably about 6 followers at the most, and I figured my wife and JD and my mom were probably going to be 3 of those.
I told you you'd get at least 30.
And I'm like, maybe.
I figured twice as many people would follow your Facebook and your customs as listen to our podcast. So, but apparently you have a lot more fans and our podcast has a few more fans. So, I mean, I can't complain.
I'm blown away. Cause when I put a post up saying that I was like 2 likes away from 4,000 followers. Facebook put up something, threw me some weird numbers, unfortunately, and I was like 20 off. I mean, I was like way off, but I got a lot of congratulations. And then I was gonna put up a post saying that I actually wasn't really close to 4,000 followers. And then when I looked, it was 4,033. I'm like, oh, so I got like 50.
The algorithm is really weird.
So yeah, I got like 50 followers in the like couple of days that I was deciding how to like fix that mistake.
Well, that's not bad. That's not
yeah.
bad for a guy who paints toys.
Yeah, I've been asked if there's going to be proxy bidding, and I think I remember people proxy bidding at the auction. So I'm going to get back in touch when I get a little further along on the project. I'm going to get back in touch with the folks and see if they have a system set up for proxy bidding. I'll be doing a YouTube video on this channel specifically to pimp the figure with pictures so that they can send out a link. Yeah, so I'll be doing like a promo video on my channel, on the channel. I'll be putting something on both my personal Facebook page and my customizing Facebook page, and probably Instagram too. I don't use my Instagram much, and I don't have a lot of followers, but I'm gonna kind of make an exception just kind of, I really want this to get out there, and I really want people
I
to.
was gonna say this needs to get out to as many avenues as you can get it out to.
If
So
it, if it sells, if it works, I'm planning on doing this, making it annual.
sweet. Um,
If this sells, the next figure next year will be Zombie Boba Fett, which is like also one of my. Oh, there's my airbrush compressor. Let me turn that off. So like Zombie Boba Fett is like a huge, another one of my huge like popular customs. So if this works and it sells and they get some money from Make a Wish Foundation, I'll be doing one next year.
um, that's pretty cool.
And hopefully maybe a couple at some point. So like 2 or 3 a year, maybe.
Um, you should do a 2-pack, Zombie Boba Fett and Zombie Fennec Shand or something. Um, um, because people do like their zombies.
Yeah, they do. So we'll see. I'm really hoping that, like I said, when I get more information to know if people can proxy bid on this, I'll put that information out, and let's raise some money for Make a Wish Foundation, man.
Pretty cool.
All right. Let's see. What else were we going to talk about?
Well, I'm just gonna mention real quick. Tonight I'm guesting on the Earth Station One podcast. Anybody who listened to our show last year, we had Mike Faber from Earth Station One on as our guest, and I was supposed to be on their show last year, after opening weekend for Thor: Love and Thunder to talk about it, but that was the weekend that I got COVID, so I had to wait 2 weeks to go see the movie because I was sick for 8 days and that sucked. But so tonight I'm going to be on the show to talk about the Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves movie.
And by the time this gets up, that show will be live, so definitely go take a look at that.
Yeah, it's
I think
yeah,
about
we're gonna have a panel of people. We're gonna talk about it. And what's up?
What do you think about it?
It was a hell of a lot of fun. Anybody who likes fantasy movies, I can recommend it to them. And if you've played D&D, I can recommend it to you too.
I think Emily, we're talking about going to see it because it looked pretty good.
One of the co-writers and co-directors is John Francis Daly, who came to fame because of the short-lived TV series Freaks and Geeks. There was an episode of that show where the kids were playing D&D, and this was I think it's set in the late 80s. And he's grown up to do a lot of directing and acting, and like he was on Bones, the TV series Bones, for years. But yeah, he's the co-director of this, and so there's a plethora of Dungeons and Dragons history references because they're on the 5th edition of D&D. But over the last 50 years, it's gone through different iterations. This has references to all kinds of D&D history. And I think it's perfectly accessible for people that just like sword and sorcery stuff and don't give a shit about tabletop role-playing games. Yeah, it's fun. It's an absolute romp. My child and I went to go see it, and I was I had fun all the way through. So yeah, I recommend it. I think I think you and Emily would enjoy it. So it really does make me wish playing D&D, make me miss playing D&D in a campaign, but maybe again someday. Last time I was playing it, it was during quarantine, and we were playing over Zoom, and
I remember that.
And then quarantine ended, and the reason for quarantine sucked, early coronavirus, when when the world's population took a giant hit. But I gotta say, I miss the era of quarantine when we all went in the house, and if you had to go to the store, there's nobody on the roads. There were no crowds in the stores. Everybody was wearing masks. And introverts like me are made for shit like that.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I got stuck at
yeah,
home
the
for pretty-
reason sucked, but honestly, if the world just decided, hey, you know what, let's all just stay indoors for a while, I'd be happy with that. So,
I think my mom is still living that life. So
um,
never really got back to any kind of sort of normal after that.
um, I continue I continue trying to practice living that way. I remember the memes when that started that said, okay, introverts, this is what we've been preparing our whole lives for.
Those.
And yeah, I'm nostalgic for lockdown. Isn't that some shit? Um,
And crazy. Yeah.
um,
Crazy. Yeah. If I could just like customize every day, all day, I would do it in a heartbeat.
um, I really, there are, I mean, other than when working from home, I just, there's a lot of ways, like my social circle didn't change that much from, before quarantine, but, um, I just, I don't, although as much as I can say, I wish I do miss the quarantine era. I'm also not entirely certain that it'd be a good thing if some reason came up that we had to do that again, because it would probably be even worse and that would suck. Um,
I tried the
so
whole working for home thing, and nobody wanted to come to my house while they were having a heart attack. So I was like, oh.
that, yeah, you just have one of those jobs that you really have to go out and do it. Me, I work at a desk. Nobody cares if they see me or not, as long as I get my work done. And I don't particularly care if I see them or not, ever. So, um, you all right? Yeah, you're sick. Um,
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's just, man, it's just wearing me down, man. It's
um,
I'm not even that sick, but it's just like, bleh.
all right. Well, I have to ask, what color is your phlegm? Sorry.
Clear. That's a good question. It's a legitimate question.
Um,
It's the question I ask when people come to see me when they're sick. So
I mean, it is it. There are certain colors that it should be, and certain colors that it should not be. So, um, if there's a red hue to any of it, go to the hospital. Um,
probably
um, but I have very little medical knowledge, but there are certain things I picked up over the years. Um, I know, really. My depth of knowledge is I can't even fill a paint bottle with it. Let's put it that way. But
you like called me when I told you that jokingly told you that you were having liver failure from drinking Mountain Dew.
well, because it turned my shit like green, like Jabba the Hutt, like green. And I'm like, that's gross. And is that normal? So, um, um, but well, Brian and I were gonna continue our practice of unboxing toys. I got this at Target the other day. It is the Power Rangers Cobra Kai crossover
Oh, wow.
of Daniel LaRusso in his Ninja Power Rangers suit.
Boy, that's esoteric as fuck.
Yeah, there's well,
I didn't even know that was
see,
a thing.
well, neither did I until I saw this at Target the other day. And when I scanned the price, I'm like, yeah. And then I bought it anyways because I'm a shill for the Karate Kid, I guess.
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
The The price on it was $27.99. I am not entirely certain that it is worth that, but I'm certainly not going to wait for it to go on sale or go on clearance because then I'd never get it. And I wasn't sure if it'd be the only time like that I see it in the store, so it's like, fuck it, I have. Um,
Exclusive.
Alongside this, I also bought the Star Wars Black Series Wicket figure because I love Ewoks and I always have, but there's this is it's the retro carded one for the 40th anniversary of Return of the Jedi. So it's got the card back with the vintage photo of Wicket. And as much as I love that little figure, also not worth $24 to get a half a figure. But fuck, it's an Ewok, so I needed to. Um, I know I'm weak. But um, but yeah, I'm gonna open this and there what I was hoping because Target had they only had two of these. And what I was hoping was that I would go online and find that there was another like a Johnny Lawrence figure. There is not a Johnny Lawrence figure. They decided to use the Mighty Morphin. Every iteration of Power Rangers has their faceless goons that go around with the villains, and they're basically there just for the Power Rangers to kick their asses. Well, in Mighty Morphin, they were called the Putty Soldiers, so that when the Power Rangers kicked them, they just sort of fly apart with the standard terrible special effects. But that is what they decided for the enemy was that they were going to use a Putty Soldier and paint it like the skeleton costumes from the first Karate Kid movie. So, in a toy line that's Power Rangers crossed over with Cobra Kai, there is no Cobra Kai actual representation in the line.
Huh.
What the fuck? No Johnny Lawrence, no Sensei Kreese, no Mike Barnes. What the fuck?
Yeah,
So,
that's my next one. My next question. Well, my first question is it an exclusive figure? Is it exclusive?
yes, it is a Target exclusive.
All right. So
Um,
then my next question was, is there other figures, crossover figures in the line then?
there is one of uh, Samantha LaRusso, Daniel LaRusso's daughter on Cobra Kai, but she uses the Pink Ranger ninja body, and it's the same bright ass pink that they use on the rest. And I feel like they should have used a different color pink because it doesn't really fit Sam, but I understand what they're going for. They're trying to make it look like an official Power Rangers figure. But yeah, so it's Daniel LaRusso, Samantha LaRusso, and the Putty Soldier
Right.
dressed as the skeleton. It is absolutely dumb. I don't know how Hasbro continues to make stupid ass decisions like that, but how do you not have anybody who's actually Cobra Kai? Dumb. So I will hold out hope that people buy these, that the shills like I buy these in big enough numbers that we do get a second assortment so I can get a Johnny figure. Um, I don't really care what he's dressed as,
Sounds like it's
but
time for a custom.
um, why do you got to say these things? Because you're probably right, but
It's, I mean, I know there's a 6-inch line, so the head sculpt would be easy as fuck to get. So, and there's any you can't want for Power Rangers figures. So there you go.
yeah, that's a good point because I think there's one, maybe two different Cobra Kai slash Karate Kid like toy lines from two different manufacturers, um, not including Hasbro. But I'm gonna unbox this, and it's all right. So it's pretty standard, the windowless packaging, which I'm getting used to it. I don't necessarily like it, but it does make me glad that I'm not an inbox collector and I can just chuck this. Um,
I got a Iron Man figure last week, and it
which one?
It was the new Extremis armor. And I put in my post that, like, I'll always buy the new Iron Man figures when they come
Yes, you
out.
will. You
I'm like,
are a whore.
probably, because I mean, even at this point, even I'm as sick of like Extremis armor. I don't know that it's a new sculpt. I haven't like compared it to any of the like 5 other Extremis armor figures that I have to see.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Was aren't there multiple extremists like Iron Man figure
Yeah.
like comic book extremists since the movie came out? Yeah, this is so it's so that you don't even know if it's a repaint or a repackage or a new sculpt.
That's
Yeah,
pretty bad.
Hasbro, it's entirely possible you've actually made too many Iron Man figures.
Uh,
Um,
I'm gonna say they haven't made too many Iron Man figures, but
no, they've made too many Iron Man figures that are too similar for even the hardcore Iron Man fans to really tell the difference.
yeah. And
Um,
there's so many armors that haven't been made into figures that
like
just
the Thor Buster hasn't gotten a figure since what the Toy Biz line,
is like,
because Hasbro hasn't done a Marvel Legends Thor Buster armor.
oh, that's the only
Um,
one that exists.
all right, so we'll rip open the tissue paper
Yeah,
with
so I was gonna say something else. Oh yeah, I will not buy windowless packaging at the store. Too many
I
packers, man. I do not trust retail to give me what's in the box.
I will say I've only read a couple of horror stories about people buying stuff and getting it home and finding other stuff in the box, but that that just taking that chance does suck because the first post I saw of it was right after they brought the windowless packaging out. There was a Spider-Man set with Peter Parker and Ned from one of the movies,
Yeah.
and somebody bought it, and yeah, there was no Peter Parker and no Ned. It was completely other toy lines. I'm like, all right, that's pretty fucked up. All right, the Daniel head sculpt in the box art, the prototype is better than the painted production head sculpt.
Yeah,
It is a little generic.
it is.
Um, I can see Ralph Macchio in it, but I don't. It doesn't look as good as it did
In
in
this
the.
day and age, man, it's it's really disappointing to see stuff like that because you've got people like Spartan 118 and Craniac that make these fantastic custom heads based off existing people, and they're just fucking amazing. I mean, that's why I
It,
did. There's the boss fight is doing a line of toys based off the Umbrella Academy TV show, and I love that TV show. I've watched all 3 seasons, fucking love it. Um, and when they said when Boss Fight was going to make the figures, I'm like, ooh, this is going to be expensive because I'm going to have to get them all. And then I saw the head sculpts, and wow, I actually have one right here because I bought it for. This one's not too bad, but it's disappointing.
I've never. I didn't watch the show, so I don't know what character it's supposed to be. But you bought. Is that the one you bought for the violin to give it to Sherlock? Okay. Um. So see, boss fight usually does really, really, really good work. So
Too. And that's why I was like, I
I'm
was blown away that the head sculpts do not look anything like the actors. Because like the Zorro stuff is fantastic. The Flash Gordon stuff is amazing. The Sam Jones likeness is awesome. And the Pierce or the not Pierce Brosnan, the oh god damn it. Timothy Dalton head was so awesome that I used it sanded down the mustache and used it for my James Bond custom.
what movie did Timothy Dalton have a mustache in?
Flash Gordon, like I just said.
Yeah, I've never actually seen that.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I've never seen it. Um,
Jesus Christ. Do I even know you anymore?
I mean, hey, things fall through the cracks. I, I, yeah, I've never seen it.
In my defense, it was one of those movies that was on HBO during the summer when I was a kid. So I've seen it like 500 fucking times because it was on, like 3 or 4 times a day during the summer.
Yeah, that was me with Beetlejuice. When the year that HBO put that on, Beetlejuice all the time. My sister and I, Beetlejuice all the time to this day. One of those movies we can quote absolutely from beginning to end.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's one of those.
I can't count the number of times I've seen that Flash Gordon movie. And I got to meet Sam Jones a couple of years ago at the local Comic Con. So,
um, yeah, I remember you saying he was a nice guy to talk to.
yeah, super nice guy.
I all right, I'll put it on my list of movies that I need to watch.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
it's definitely campy as fuck, and but I mean, Queen did the soundtrack. I mean, it's fucking awesome. You just gotta love it. And Max von
I love
Sydow,
Queen, so
Max von
um,
Sydow is uh is Ming the Merciless, and I mean, nobody has ever done that better before or since. I mean, he was made for that fucking role.
um, I admit the only thing I really know him from is his little part in Star Wars: The Force Awakens.
Oh my god.
Because way back when they made the Force Awakens casting announcements, and I saw him on the list, people were like, "Oh, Max von Sydow in Star Wars." I'm like, "Who?" Um, I know it's terrible. Geek failure. It
Almost as
happened.
prolific as Jeffrey Combs, dude. I mean,
um, well, I'm well aware of who Jeffrey Combs is. He's one of Star Trek's most prolific actors. Um, I
how
mean, okay, I'm gonna give the head sculpt this. I can see Ralph Macchio in it, and I think with a slightly better paint job, I think it could actually be salvaged. Like if Brian, with his skills, was to repaint it, I
send it to
think
me.
you get Ralph Macchio out of it. But
Send it to me. I'll do it.
I just it doesn't like the headband is perfect with the lotus blossom.
Yeah.
It's perfect. His hair color is all wrong. I mean, even in the render on the box, it's too light. And I was kind of hoping that it'd be a prototype thing, but no, his hair is definitely too light because Ralph Macchio has like he's got such dark brown hair that it verges on black.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure why it's kind of this mousy brown color, but I mean, yeah, I can see Ralph Macchio in it, but I will give the figure this: the back of it
Oh,
has the Miyagi Do karate bonsai tree,
nice.
and that is an amazing detail. It's perfectly recreated from the logo that was on the back of his gi in the Karate Kid and the Karate Kid Part 3. Um, so I am impressed with that, and they do call this the White Crane Ranger, which Miyagi Do with the crane technique and all, so that makes sense. It's it's a decent figure that I feel like they almost got there, but not quite.
Yeah, send me the head. I'll repaint it.
Um, I might just do that. Now I'll open the little bag of the accessories because honestly, one of the biggest complaints that Hasbro's getting right now is for the price, for the prices going up the way they are, the accessory inclusions are not worth it.
An extra set of
There's
hands is just like stupid. I
yeah,
never fucking swap out hands. I never
yeah.
swap out hands.
Um, I mean, the swap out hands are good for people who like to do like dioramas and different photography and stuff. But if you're just collecting them and putting them on a shelf, swap out hands don't do anything for me. The only time I appreciate swap out hands is if I happen to be using it for a custom and one hand might be more functional than the other, like to hold something or to recreate a certain, but
Yeah.
honestly, there's no, like, one of the things I've discovered making the 6-inch scale customs is that Marvel Universe figures or Marvel Legends tend to be very short on hands with functional hand sculpts. There's a lot of closed fists and a lot of like open hand posing and stuff like that. And those are useless for like crossover with G.I. Joe customs, Star Wars customs. They don't, I get it when they're comic book based because there's a lot of, punching and fisticuffs, but
Sure.
as toys, I don't feel like they make good. They're not good. They're not good options for a toy line. Like if a kid was to get a Marvel Legends figure that only had uh like fists, I'm like they're gonna be annoyed by it. They can't hold anything. The like right now, he's got the karate chopping hand and he's got the closed fist. All right.
That's kind
He
of cool.
comes with another karate chopping hand and another closed fist.
Really?
So technically, if I wanted this Daniel LaRusso to paint the fence or sand the floor, or he could wax on, wax off with the car. He could sand the floor. He can't hold a paintbrush. Um,
And,
so
I think like the crane technique cans would have been cool too.
yes, it would have been really cool because oh, you know what? I take that back. The second hand is not just a karate chop.
It looked like it.
It does, but the thumb is folded in just a little bit, so it's more like his kata technique. So it's it's character specific, so I get it. Um, so okay, I have to say they did okay with that one, but um, I don't. I mean, it's not bad.
And then did it have an interchangeable head too?
Yeah, yeah, the head, yeah, the head does come off, so he can wear the oh shit, the Mighty Morphin ninja mask. So hang on. If I could snap it on. It's not like I don't play with toys regularly, so I don't know what my problem is here. But
That's why I have a hair dryer, man. I soften that stuff up before I do any of that stuff.
well, technically, the swappable heads should just be swappable, but this thing's being a bastard. Oh, you know what? It's the removable fucking little sash to go around the collar. It's supposed to be like the hood pulled down. That's getting in the way, I think. So, guess what's getting glued down? Um, wow, this thing is a pain in the ass. Yeah, I have to boil the. I mean, it's a ninja head. It's
All right.
it's nothing particularly. I do like the ribbon in the back.
Yeah.
It's got a nice flow to it. This this would make. I mean, it's good for ninja customs in general, but I mean, for Daniel, I'm just gonna have to keep the Ralph Macchio head on it. But
Yeah, send it to me. I'll repaint it.
um, yeah, I think I will because I don't. I mean, like I said, they got the headband perfectly. But they just so I mean, it's worth it for that. But it's a one-off figure that I may or may not be able to make a Johnny figure at some point, but I
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
buy a whole range of these, especially
Totally.
not at this price.
Yeah,
So
a whole wave of them might be a bit excessive for $30 a pop.
yeah. But I'm not dissatisfied with the purchase. It it makes me wish I was a little bit less of a nerd for Karate Kid. So maybe I wouldn't have seen this and thought, oh, I need to have whatever. But I mean, it's a decent figure. And I have a couple of the other Ninja Power Ranger figures. So it'll fit right in with that. I mean, if you want to just pretend he's just another ninja, that's fine too. But yeah, I gotta say, for this assortment, Power Rangers crossover with Cobra Kai. No Cobra Kai. That really irritates me. Um, but all right, and Brian's got something he was gonna unbox.
Yep.
Another figure subscription service GI Joe figure.
Yes. I figured I would open my bullhorn figure.
Nice. That's one. I saw some pictures of it, but I've never even seen good detailed pictures of that one. Not because they're not out there. I just didn't see them in casual passing on Facebook or whatever.
Yeah, I don't know that I have either now that I think about it.
Yeah, he was one of the later subscription service figures where um the price had gone up, so fewer people were subscribing, and um there weren't reviews weren't all over the place like they were for the first couple service waves, I think.
I basically just reissued his original rifle and the bullhorn, which is kind of cool. Does it come apart? Yeah, it sure does. Sweet.
I mean, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that makes sense. Um, and they weren't going to tool up new accessories, not for that, anyways. So,
I'm surprised they tooled up old accessories, honestly. Oh, and it does come with a silencer for the rifle. That's kind of cool.
oh, the original didn't have a silencer, did it?
Oh. Oh, it's not for this. It's for the. It came with low lights.
Oh, so it's got the rifle you can put together.
Yeah.
Um, so they retain that from because the original bullhorn figure had an open case and it had a sniper rifle you could build. And this is just context for people that might not have that figure. Um,
It,
and then Pursuit of Cobra Lowlight came with a rifle case for the same gift, so that makes sense. They reused it for bullhorn.
that's not a bad version of him.
I mean,
If I open this thing, it's gonna spread. It's just gonna like dump everywhere. It's just gonna go flying. I just know it.
yeah, I'm bracing myself to see that happen.
And I have a random hand in my lap. I don't know where that came from. I have no idea whose hand that is. That's
I'm gonna guess it's not one off a current custom.
I don't think so. Oh, you know what? I bet it's that stupid boss fight figure. Nope. Oh, maybe it came out of the because she's got interchangeable hands. Yeah, it's one of her hands. Ellen Page, I think, is the or Elliot Page now, I guess, is what he wants to be known as. But that's the likeness that it's supposed to be is Ellen Page. And it doesn't look like her.
Um, that is disappointing.
It really
I guess
is.
that boss fight, I'm consistently impressed with what they do. So kind of weird that they didn't. And you said all the characters are like that, like they don't look anything in particular like the actors. That's
Yeah,
weird.
it is.
Um,
So yeah, it came with the rifle case, with the rifle, removable rifle.
I really hate. Okay, Master Collector, which became the GI Joe Collectors Club. There used to be a running joke that it was in Master Collector Gray because a lot of the weapons tended to be in this particular shade of gray, and all the convention exclusive figures used to come with these particular gray weapons. Like, no matter if they were old weapons or new weapons, they would always be in this particular gray. But that in that particular case, the fact that the case color and the weapons color are identical drives me crazy.
Yeah.
Um,
The original, the case was gray and the weapon was black. So
yeah,
Look.
I mean, it's good. It's just not another black case like Lowlight had, but they could have darkened the gray, lighten it, do something to make it contrast with the weapon.
No, I dropped the scope.
Whoops.
Yeah. So sniper rifle does the silencer is definitely for the sniper rifle.
And
The the
that is the same rifle that came with Pursuit of Cobra Lowlight, right? Okay.
uh the bipod and the silencer do not fit into the case, so they just float around loose, which is ridiculous.
Okay, that is stupid.
Yeah. There's nowhere to store those pieces, and I have just dropped the scope on the floor. Nope, that ain't it.
All right, I'll have to find the scope after the show.
Wait, didn't they all fit into his case?
Yeah, it was a three-piece. It was a
Right.
thing.
So-
I don't think I have the vintage figure in my collection still. I might. I don't know. But I had the vintage figure as a kid, and I played with the.
You know what? The sniper rifle in the case that vintage Bullhorn came with was definitely a case of much cooler idea than the actual execution of it.
Absolutely.
Because I remember when the stock and the body of the weapon and barrel were all connected. It was not a very interesting or impressive looking sniper rifle.
I didn't think it
But
was a sniper rifle at all. I thought it was like a smoke grenade launcher.
well, okay, it is some kind of a tactical weapon that you put together, and it's a little janky when it's put together. But it was one of those. It was such a cool idea and so innovative for 1990 in our kid minds
Yeah.
that it was magical for us. But I gotta say that the new version not being able to store all the pieces of the rifle is stupid.
It is, because those will get lost real easy. And then he's got a headband, which the figure had once sculpted onto the head originally. Now it's removable. So if you want to put his gas mask on, you got to take the headband off, which is also going to get lost.
Is it the same headband that the Red Dog figure in the 7-pack came from?
So yeah,
Yeah, because the original Bullhorn had a gas mask that would fit over his head, and that was kind of cool too. But yeah, he had a the original Bullhorn had a completely like it was everything in 1990 except for the Sky Patrol guys was a new sculpt. So of course Bullhorn had a unique head that was only ever used for Bullhorn. So he had the headband. All right, yeah, that's not bad. I mean, as much as I want to criticize the fact that those arms and legs were used to fucking death by the collectors club.
I like those pieces though.
No, I understand you like those pieces, and they were great. But it was one of those where the club used them on so many figure subscription service figures that I feel like it actually diluted the life of those parts. Because there was a point where one of the podcasts I listened to said they were that the guys were doing review. I think it was full force when they were doing their reviews of the figure subscription service. There was a sound bite that they'd throw in. They'd be like, "Shock Trooper parts," and that's because that's how often the collectors club used those parts.
Yeah.
But what kind of harness does Bullhorn have on?
I don't remember who had this originally. I think it was the Retaliation Cobra Paratrooper harness.
Oh, with the grenades on it, with the straps. Oh, all right. I like that accessory. That was a good choice.
Yeah, they
Um,
did a good job with that. I will give it. I mean, it's not a bad figure. I do like the part selection. I do like the accessories. I don't like the fact that the bipod and the um silencer won't fit in the case, and there's nowhere to attach it.
that's really dumb.
It is. Uh,
Um,
bullpup style rifles never fit well in figures. So I mean, it's cool that they reissued his weapon. And if they hadn't reissued his weapon, we'd probably be like, they should have reissued his weapon. But
of course they would have.
at the same time, bullpup weapons are never held well by an action figure. So I'm kind of 50-50 on that. Yeah, maybe it would have been nicer to have him have an updated weapon with him, but at the same time, the nostalgic feel is kind of nice as well. So I don't know. I'm kind of there's a version of the Scar rifle that would have been perfect for him to update it, but at the same time, then I'm like, how come they didn't just remold his original
Of
weapons?
course they would have, because fanboys bitch about everything, and you'd have the people that would be screaming about, well, why didn't he have vintage gear? And then you'd have the people like Brian, they're like, well, they could have given him updated gear, and really, then one half of the population wouldn't have been happy either way.
Right.
But
I'm just mad that I've already dropped and lost the scope for the rifle. I'm sure it's here somewhere. I did end up finding whatever I dropped on the last show, though. I think it was the head for it was the head for Blackout, I think I dropped on the show.
oh right, yes.
Yeah, I found it. So
oh good, you found that fuck ugly head sculpt.
yeah, that still blows me away. Is like, why did they use that head? That's a shitty ass head.
Well, they did the same thing with figure subscription service, barrel roll, because they based their version of him more on the Desert Sniper from DTC, which meant that they reused the Desert Sniper head, which meant that it was too small for
I have
the
that
modern.
That's another one that I haven't opened yet. I still have that figure somewhere.
Yeah, he's that barrel roll figure, because I did subscribe to the first selection, or the first year of that head sculpt. That the recipe for that barrel roll figure was terrible anyways. Like, honestly, I felt like most of the recipe, they couldn't have been any further away from the source material if they fucking tried. But reusing the DTC head sculpt on a modern body made that head just way too small. So not a good choice. And Blackout, not a good choice. And then a couple assortments later, they bring out Bomb Strike, their sister. She has a brand new head sculpt, and it basically made Blackout and Barrel Roll. It just made the figures cry because they got short shrift with that.
I don't have that figure. I don't think I bought that one.
I've got the Bomb Strike figure, and I had both of those. And Bomb Strike just had a better part selection, a unique head sculpt, and just was overall better than either of her brother. I feel like maybe they would have done better had they waited on Blackout and Barrel Roll to a later assortment. That first assortment was filled with some really janky choices. But I mean, I will say, as often as they use those stupid Shock Viper parts, they work for Barrel Roll. They did not work for Sneak Peek when they used them. But
I don't remember. I don't remember what my opinion on that particular figure was.
But all right, yeah, I will send you the head sculpt just so you can I know you can bring out some of the details and make him look more like, but yeah, I can paint, but I can't paint lifelike features. Like Brian always says that the different, uh, a head sculpt can make or break a custom. Like if the actor, like if it's based on a real person and you get a good enough head sculpt, that it'll look just like that person. Well, also comes into play is you've got to be able to do some realism in the paint. So if you take a like a super realistic, like a really great likeness of an actor, but you paint like I do, it's a disservice to how great the sculpt is. Because I've never been able to pull off that level of realism. And like I look at a lot of Brian's customs and I'm just like, that is phenomenal. It'd be all jacked up if I'd done it. Because
I'm looking at the like I've got my movie customs, movie and TV customs like right in front of me here. So I'm looking at the ones that I've done that are based off of real people, well, which are all of them obviously because it's all movies and TV shows. And yeah, like the head that I did, I think one of the best heads that I painted is Rutger Hauer from Blade Runner. And it looks just
it looks like Rutger Hauer.
And it's the rest of it's just a boss fight upper body on I think it's Marauder lower leg, or I think it's actually just a blank boss fight figure. So I painted it and I did a skin tone for the upper body. So I mean it's not anything, there's nothing to the custom. It's the head. The head sculpt will make or break a custom or a regular figure for that matter.
But yet you've gotta have a certain skill set. And like if I was to take the same Rutger Hauer head sculpt and the same parts and paint it, it wouldn't look like a live action Rutger Hauer. It would look like a CGI rotoscoped version of Rutger Hauer. Like I looked at all your James Bond customs and I'm just like, I could do those. They would look like James Bond cartoons, but yeah, I can. So
yeah. I did a double-sided carded figure. So like I've got it sitting right here. I wanted to do like a convention, like a, convention figures often have like gimmicky packaging.
Yes.
There's a Transformers one that I'm thinking of, Cliff Jumper, that like the box is the shape of the head. The tray that the figures is the shape of the head. And if you set it on top of the box itself is like the torso of the figure. So it's really cool. I love gimmicky Comic-Con packaging. So I wanted to do that for a custom of mine. So I did a Matrix figure. I did a Neo, and then Keanu Reeves is like Mr. Thomas Anderson.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's and then I hang it, and then it just spins on a piece of fishing line.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So it's gimmicky like that, but I did a good job painting the head, but it not good enough. You don't see the likeness to Keanu Reeves in the head sculpt on the Thomas Anderson figure. So it's like, fuck. But at the same time, I just finished doing my John Constantine figure, and I did a lot better job on the head this time, and it looks like Keanu Reeves this time. So I'll be posting that one later today.
There was a movie. It was a CGI movie, like rotoscoped animation CGI for, I think it was called The Scanner Darkly, based on a Philip K. Dick novel.
Yeah.
Where all of the actors they rotoscope the CGI animation over their performance. So it's it's got a very haunting noir look to it. Yeah, I don't even know if I can paint well enough to make it look rotoscope now that I think about it. But it's definitely a case of, I think after Brian repaints his head, I think I'm going to be completely happy with it, because he'll paint the hair too and get that right too. Because Hasbro, how did you fuck that up? But it's Hasbro. What the hell am I expecting?
My only hope is that the head doesn't look way better than the rest of the custom or the rest of the figure. Then,
I mean, I'm willing to take that risk. That's fine. Because I will say, of the other Karate Kid toy lines that they have out, because there's one toy line, I want to say maybe it's Diamond Select or maybe it's Mezco or one of those premium line, and like they've got Daniel, Johnny, Kreese, and somebody else from the Karate Kid movies, and they're phenomenal. And you look at the paint job, it's like, well, that's definitely Billy Zabka, that's definitely Ralph Macchio, and that's definitely Martin Cove. Where so that particular Daniel head sculpt would probably be better than this, but I know that this one can be saved. And if they happen to do another assortment of this where they do include Johnny, I have a feeling I'll be sending that one to Brian to repaint it to look like William Zabka too.
yeah, it's Diamond Select is hit or miss on their accuracy of their head sculpts, but Mezco, man, they are spot fucking on.
Yeah, they really do great work. NECA is another one. They do really phenomenal, and it's reflected in the price, which is the sad thing about some of what Hasbro's putting out. Their prices are now starting to approach some of those higher end, and what you're getting in the box doesn't necessarily justify it.
One of our friends, Marcus, posted some pictures. He bought a couple of the Indiana Jones 6-inch figures and a couple of the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon figures, and was not happy with what he found in the box. He got what the figures were supposed. He got the figures he was supposed to, but
like they weren't. They were the right figures, but they weren't.
He got specifically taught from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and it had a big old paint rub on his nose. I mean, it looked like somebody looked like his face is starting to melt already, and it's not.
That sucks, because that figure includes a swappable head, so it does have the face melt. So basically, his came with two heads that look. Oh, that's not. I did see those 6-inch Indiana Jones figures here. They had Indiana Jones, Marion Ravenwood, and Tot. I don't know who else is in the assortment because they didn't have anybody else, but I could tell, much like this, that the renders on the box look really great. And for that price, I thought, see, this, I actually had some hope, but I have a feeling that those Indiana Jones figures, I probably open them and be like, well, they fucked that up. So
No,
I'm just not going to take that risk. I'm not a big enough fan of Indiana Jones to really need to buy those anyways, but just knowing how inconsistent Hasbro can be, I don't think I'd take the risk, even if I was a giant fan.
I'm a huge fan of Indiana Jones. Can you see the poster? Yeah, you can see there's a Raiders of the Lost Ark poster right there. And I have most of the 4-inch from a couple of years ago. Well, several
2008.
Years. Yeah, 2008. Oof, man, already. Yeah, I guess
I was gonna say slightly more than a couple of years ago.
I guess so. Man. Anyway, I have most of the 2008 figures. But yeah, huge Indiana Jones fan. And you couldn't pay me to go get those 6-inch figures. I do not want 6-inch Indiana Jones figures. I have an SH Fig Arts Indiana Jones, and that's 1/12 scale, and there's no way Hasbro can compete with that at any level.
I'll say this. Now, do not get me wrong. I do like Indiana Jones, and I like those movies. And if they're on, I will watch them. Last Crusade is far and away my favorite. It's the one I've seen the most often. I don't. I know they're making 2 figures from Last Crusade. They're gonna bring out. There's his name, Walter Donovan, that Julian Glover plays in the movie. He's coming out, and the figures of that, the pictures of that figure look pretty good, but I'm not gonna buy it because, well, I don't really need it, and for 2, there's I can't remember what the other. I think it was just another Indiana Jones. There's a Sala figure too, but that wasn't at Target, which I might have considered buying because I'm a big fan of that actor and the character. Yeah. But yeah, they didn't have that one. I don't. There's what I've seen from the Indiana Jones line and what they've solicited. It comes down to their premium prices on 6-inch figures where the main character doesn't change that much. And in the first couple of assortments, there's already like 4 or 5 different Indiana Jones. Like there's the Club Obi-Wan in the tuxedo. So he's got the white jacket and the black pants from Temple of Doom. And then there's the Professor Jones figure from Last Crusade when him and Ilsa were walking through the catacombs under the library. But so it's just Harrison Ford in a suit, another suit, a different suit. And then there's the standard Indiana Jones. So he's got the whip and the jacket and the khaki pants. But there's another one coming out that's another different suited Indiana Jones. And it's so weird because they're making these different, but they're not. Like in wave 2, they're going to put Short Round, and that's where the Walter Donovan figure is coming in. In that 2008 assortment, one of the things that they did do right was getting the most of the base figures into the assortments for each movie.
And no, that was a good assortment of figures in that line of toys.
But the Last Crusade line did not have a Walter Donovan, but they did have Ilsa Schneider, and they did have Colonel Vogel, the Nazi, which okay, I can understand why. Maybe that one's not coming out. Maybe that one's not planned right now. But there's no Ilsa. There's no. I do believe there is one. Oh, Mola Ram is coming out in the Temple of Doom line. And there's going to be another Indiana Jones where he's got the ripped shirt and the no sleeves from the bridge. My God. At $25 a figure, put out some of the other damn characters. Like I said, Short Round is in the second assortment. And there's no Kate Capshaw. There is no and there is nothing from Crystal Skull. And I understand why, because it is by far the least. And the 2008 Indiana Jones figures were all put out. It was predicated on Kingdom of the Crystal Skull coming out in theaters. They just happened to use it as an excuse to put a bunch of figures out from all the other movies. But when you've got fewer lines for a higher price, you've got to they have to do a better job of getting these characters, because they don't know how long the line's going to last.
Right.
A lot of the major characters are going to get overlooked, and it does suck because for the completists, they're going to be annoyed because some of these characters are just not represented in a line where they're paying a big price for a line that's got a whole lot of Harrison Ford in suits.
And see, if they'd have done these in 4-inch, I'd have bought every last fucking one of them.
And see, I have over the last few years, I've become a big fan of the 6-inch scale, and it kind of makes me wish I was a. Like I said, I like the Indiana Jones movies. If they're on, I'll watch them. It makes me wish that I was a bigger fan, so I wanted the merchandise. But at the same time, at those prices, I'm like, maybe not.
No.
But yeah, there's no.
I'm always looking for an excuse to buy a toy, but I mean, I have such a hard time buying something that's not in 4-inch scale. Like right now, NECA they're doing reissues, not reissues, they're doing deluxe versions of the Dungeons and Dragons, the L&J Dungeons and Dragons toys from the 80s. So not the cartoon characters that we talked about earlier, the Hasbro's doing, but the L&J figures from the 80s. And one of my favorite figures from that line as a kid was Warduke. And it was a 4-inch figure when I was a kid, and I fucking love that figure. But the ones that NECA are doing are 7-inch figures. I'm like, I don't.
Here's the thing: as much as I have taken a liking, I've taken a shine to the 6-inch scale for the detail and the displayability. I'm a big fan of that. I am not a big fan of how many toy lines are going to a 7-inch scale, like the the Super 7 line. Those Ultimate figures, like the Ultimate GI Joe figures, they're 7 inches. So while they wouldn't match aesthetically if you wanted to get them to blend with the classified, 7-inch just seems like such a arbitrary scale for me. I just like the McFarlane DC figures. They're all the 7-inch scale, but it works for some characters because they're supposed to be big.
See, and I think it would probably work for this Warduke figure because I mean, he's supposed to be big. He's supposed.
Yeah, he probably should tower over the 6-inch D&D fig. Well, on that note, there is a reference. There is a tribute paid to the D&D cartoon characters. They do show up in the movie in those, like the knight has the yellow tunic on over his armor. The kid that plays the archer, yeah, they're all readily identifiable in the movie. Yeah, you can see it was a nice touch.
I've watched every last one of those cartoons. Where I was stuck somewhere or I was home, I don't remember. And they're on YouTube. I sat down and watched the whole fucking series.
To actually see those particular characters in live action was really cool. It's only for a set, but it was nice that they gave the nod to it. Well,
and that's another toy line. It's like, fuck, I watched that cartoon as a kid. I've watched it as an adult. They're making figures of these. I'm like, in 6-inch figures, out. I fucking hate 6-inch figures.
Well, see, and as much as I like them, there's 2 assortments from the D&D movie that are coming, because there's the first assortment that's already out. It's got Hugh Grant and Justice Smith, Chris Pine, Michelle Rodriguez, and then there's another assortment that's coming out with the rest of the characters, and a couple of the monsters.
I saw the monsters. Monsters look amazing. Again, out of scale for everything that I own.
See, I need the Beholder, Xanathar. I fucking need that figure. I need it. Mm-hmm. He is not in the movie, but he's in the realistic style, so he fits in with them. I don't know if they're going to make any more movies, but if they do, I imagine there's going to be a Beholder in there, and that would be nice. But I'm glad Hasbro's doing one of the figures. But
and I will say, because I saw it, it's like, wow, Beholder figure. I'm like, holy shit. And I saw the price tag and how big it is. I'm like, What am I going to do with that?
Well, you could probably put it in your nerd room. But I don't. Here's the thing: is I don't have any of the current D&D figures because, again, they look really good in the renders on the package. I've watched a couple of YouTube videos, like reviews of the actual figures, and
Are we talking the movie or the comic or the
the
cartoon?
movie,
Okay.
like the live action movie. I've watched YouTube videos where they did reviews of those figures, and the renders on the package look great. They look like the actors. The actual figures just not quite. Like, you can see Michelle Rodriguez in the Holga head sculpt, but it's not quite there. You can see Hugh Grant in in his, I'm having a brain fart on his character's name. You can see it, but it's not quite there. It's like they fall just short enough that it's like, well, they're great D&D figures, or they're great fantasy figures, but they're not great if you're just buying them as collectibles from that movie.
Right.
And then somebody put up a meme of the actual head sculpt for the Holga Michelle Rodriguez, like the production figure, and the CGI plasticky look of The Rock from the Scorpion King from 2002.
Yes.
And it looks more like that. And I'm like, oh, never gonna unsee that.
I haven't
Um,
seen that, but yeah, no, I'd like to. You'll have to send that to me if you see it.
I will, because it's funny because I rewatched The Mummy Returns a couple weeks ago because it was on Hulu,
All right.
and I had simply forgotten just how bad the CGI on the transformed Dwayne Johnson was. And I mean, it didn't look good in 2002. It doesn't look good now. It is not all CGI is done well, but there's a certain level where it just starts to look like plastic, and that is what happened there. You can tell that because the CGI in the first Mummy movie is amazingly well done.
It is.
It's amazingly well done in parts of The Mummy Returns, but not The Rock. Oh, they fucked that all up. But and then I did try to rewatch the third movie, Tomb of the Dragon Emperor, and
I don't think I saw that
well,
one.
wah, wah. I watched it once after it came out. It's not a good movie.
Yeah, I
It's
think I tried to watch it and couldn't finish it. I remember absolutely loving the first two movies, and
yeah,
then
that other than plastic Dwayne Johnson as the Scorpion King, I think the movie still holds up. It's still a lot of fun.
yeah, those are definitely fun movies.
Blake, my 10-year-old, is not one to sit down. He does like going to the movie theater, but he's not one to sit down and watch a whole movie at home on TV like we did. But he did watch part of that with me. Like there's the chase through London with the mummies going after the double-decker bus and cutting the mummies in half when they come over the. He was entertained by that. But later on, he looked at the Scorpion King and he laughed, and I said, "All right, it was 2002," and he's like, "That looks like shit," and I'm like, "Well, out of the mouth of babes, right?" I mean, I have no problem with my kids, but it was for him to just say that looks like shit, like it truly does. Because usually he'll just say that sucks if he doesn't like something, but I'm like, yeah, he's right. So, I do believe those movies are still on Hulu, though. If people haven't watched them or haven't watched them in years, I recommend them. The first two.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too. I think I've got digital. I've got a hard drive of movies that I just took with me every time I deployed somewhere. So, and then just traded, it's like, do you have a hard drive? Yeah. You got movies? Yeah. Let's trade. So, I've just got shit tons of music and movies and TV shows that I've traded over the years. And I think the Mummy movies are in there. I know that I don't have the third one, but I think the first two I have.
When the first movie came out in the movie, when the original Mummy movie came out in the theaters, I didn't go see it, but I was working at Blockbuster Video when the DVD for the movie was released, and it was one of those where we got like 50 copies of the DVD, and we couldn't keep them on the shelf, especially like on Fridays. They were all rented out. And then the second one came out while I was in, while I was living in Oklahoma, and I did go see that in the theater, and thinking, all right, still not as great as the original, but still a lot of fun. And I can say they both still hold up. The airship is still awesome. But it does disappoint me that they never made toys from that. But I don't know.
Surprises me they didn't.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, it surprised me that they didn't either. But kind of one of those that I'm kind of surprised that like NECA or somebody has not gone back and made toys from that. I'm really surprised. There's not a lot of like, or at least like Rick O'Connell and Evie and Imhotep. But no. But
there's the Hot Toys did some, but I'm not positive.
Oh, maybe they did. The only Hot Toys I ever seem to see pictures of are, well, there's Marvel ones that Brian sends me pictures of and says, yeah, I'm not buying that, but it's awesome.
A couple of the Hot Toys Iron Man figures.
Well, because I know there were a few that you're like, that's awesome, but I'm not paying that. And then I do tend to see pictures of like Star Wars ones because like they'll be posted in the Star Wars groups on Facebook. But
yeah,
I do believe there's a lot of Hot Toys figures that I never see because they're out of my. Oh, did you find the accessory?
Oh, it was just a paint stain that looks like the scope.
Oh. Well, at least you don't have to worry about the dogs chewing on them.
No, and I don't. I kind of wish the dog had been here when I dropped it because she would have gone for it thinking it was food and I could have stopped her, but at least I would have known where it landed. But she bailed on me. I don't know. She must be at the top of the stairs. But yeah, it's here somewhere. I'll find it after the show.
But, well, we can end the show now. I wanted to have a podcast. I like doing this fairly regularly again.
We need to get some.
And you know what? I just want to say I'm really grateful for all the people that do watch the show. I don't know what it is about our conversations that makes people tune in, but I'm glad it works. So I really do appreciate all the listeners that we've got and the feedback we get. It's nice. So I wanted to say thanks to everybody who listens to General Geekery.
Absolutely. And, as always, please do that fun social media stuff. Like, share, subscribe, comment below. We do get back to people that comment.
Yeah, we do. Not always in a timely manner, but we'll get there.
But yeah, I think that's about all I got. So thanks for watching.
Bye, everybody.